Welcome to the webinar this evening. My name's Amanda. We're just going to wait a few more minutes before getting started. We want to make sure everyone can hear me. So if you could please type in the questions area when you are able to hear me. We'll get started in a few minutes. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Amanda. Again, I wanted to make sure everyone could hear me okay, so if you cannot, obviously let us know. But again, my name is Amanda, and I am an admissions representative. And tonight we're going to be discussing the Master of Science in Engineering Technology program here at Purdue. And so what you're going to see with tonight's agenda, we're going to go over a few topic areas. So we're going to go over Purdue University themselves. We also have a guest speaker tonight, Dr. Dunlap. So he's going to be going over specifics within the program, our overview of the School of Technology. I will be discussing with you the online experience, so expectations within the classroom. We will also be having a question and answer session at the end of this. However, you can type in your questions as we go. So if we cannot get to them during the call, we'll definitely be able to connect with you afterwards or with your admissions representative. This will be recorded, so we will also be able to send you a copy within 24 hours. And we will be able to go through the application process and timeline so you understand that expectation. So again, my name's Amanda. I've been working within admissions for 5 years, and so several years with Purdue. So I enjoy working with our students, especially with our technology students, and guiding them through the process. So hopefully we can work with a few of you coming up here in the near future. So moving forward with Purdue. For those of you who do not know, Purdue was founded in 1869. Purdue, we're actually a land-grant institution. We're located in West Lafayette, Indiana. And actually today we have over 80 master's and doctoral programs. So obviously our engineering program being offered online now. We're also ranked 20th nationwide among public schools. So our reputation definitely exceeds itself. We are a credible university, so regionally accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. And for you sports fans out there, we are a member of the Big Ten. So with Purdue, again, I mentioned our guest speaker, Dr. Dunlap. He is our professor and chair, School of Engineering and Technology and Graduate Education Committee. So with Dr. Dunlap, he actually teaches within our curriculum. He is actually currently the co-chair of the Commission on Innovation, Competitiveness, and Economic Prosperity, working groups for the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities. So with Dr. Dunlap, he actually has a lot of experience. He focuses within innovation, works with fellow colleagues as he's active within agile strategy disciplines. He was an expert witness for the patent case Markman versus Lehman. He's very passionate within the automobile industry, and actually he does enjoy bike riding and endurance racing. So hopefully he can work with a few of you students out there in regards to the manufacturing side and possibly racing. So hello, Dr. Dunlap. Do you want to introduce yourself? Hello, Dr. Dunlap?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I think it was just muted, so sorry. Go ahead.
Good evening, Amanda, and good evening, everyone. I'm so glad you made it a priority in your schedule to join us tonight. You have a of an exciting opportunity in front of you should you decide to take it. I've been involved with adult learners and online and blended learning since 1998 at Purdue. Was one of the first programs ever to go online at Purdue, along with my colleague Jay Ackridge, who's the provost at Purdue. He had a ag economics degree go online. And so we're thankful that the instructional design that we have put in place for people that are busy like yourselves, working full-time and have other significant life responsibilities, you're going to have the opportunity to work with faculty that all of them are full professors. They're not doing this to achieve rank or tenure. They're doing it because, number one, they value and appreciate the adult learner, and number two, they're experts in their field, both nationally and internationally, and enjoy working with people who are practicing every day. And feel free to ask a question anytime tonight throughout any part of the presentation. And Amanda and I are here to meet you where you're at and take you to the next level and understanding our program and the value proposition and what makes our program unique, because there is choices, and we know the landscape. Obviously, Purdue's a land grant, as Amanda already mentioned, and we're very serious with our mission. We have over 6,500 alumni in our degree program alone, being part of the largest school in our academic college. We have a tremendous network globally of alums, and you can be part of that. Thank you, Amanda.
Yes, you're welcome. And so I want to make sure that we had a chance to go over the Polytechnic Institute. So do you want to be able to speak to any specifics that students should know?
Sure. I'd be happy to. 2 years ago, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of our academic college at Purdue. There are 10 different academic colleges at Purdue, and we were known as the College of Technology, now the College of the Purdue Polytechnic Institute. And the Polytechnic Institute has a significant heritage. For example, I had the fortune to work on my doctorate degree at Virginia Tech. And when I was a graduate student at Virginia Tech, it was Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University. And it was a land grant for the state of Virginia. And having the word Polytechnic implies that its mission is use-inspired research for the people who come. And it has tremendous roots in Europe, especially in the Fraunhofer institutes in Germany that go back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of education and skill and engineering management development. And it only seemed like a natural outgrowth as we evolve. And if we don't change, we get left in the marketplace. And I'm very excited that the 55 faculty that I get to work with every day in my little world, we continue to evolve. We are ABET accredited, and if you know anything about engineering programs across this great country or technology programs, if they're ABET accredited, that is a significant measure of quality, because not everybody is ABET accredited. And the ABET accreditation in many institutions is a gateway into graduate education programs by not having to take the graduate record exam, for example. But you have a tremendous opportunity. The Polytechnic is very vibrant. You would be part of the largest academic organization within our academic college. And the kinds of things that you're able to learn was derived by 12 different corporations, all of which are global. And all of them are alums of our program, graduate program. So as we progress tonight, Amanda and I will begin to differentiate the uniqueness of our program and why you should become a Boilermaker. Thank you, Amanda.
Yes, you're welcome, and thank you for that. Obviously, we want to make sure students know where they're coming from, where they're receiving their education. So with taking a look at our alumni, things that you've just referred to on this slide, did you want to touch on anything else?
I'd be happy to. You know, being the land grant institution, which was, you know, established by the Morrill Act, you know, which was an idea of President Abraham Lincoln. Part of the mission of the land grant is to maintain economic sustainability, and we do that real well in education of our graduate students. And I look at my colleagues that I work with on a weekly basis in our School of Aviation and Transportation. You may not know it, but Amelia Earhart was a faculty member in our college. She began her around the world flight in that twin engine Electra from Purdue University. We have over 30 astronauts from Purdue that have walked on the moon and or been in space flight that no other institution has. And the fun thing is you have the opportunity as a Purdue student to interact not only with those faculty, but their resources when you work on projects and papers in our degree program. Our computing group in our college is very focused in the area of forensics, digital forensics, Internet of Things, and cybersecurity. What's exciting, ladies and gentlemen, is that one of the courses that you'll be able to take in our curricula that's not available anywhere is that you're going to have the opportunity to learn from a colleague of mine, Greg Hilbert, who is our Chief Security Officer at Purdue University. Greg has started his career after college, after graduate school, at working for Ross Perot at EDS, and later at Allison Transmission in Indianapolis, and then in the last 8 years has been at Purdue. And to have the opportunity to learn about cybersecurity, Internet of Things, and digital forensics from somebody who's the chief officer of a major organization, a $2 billion budget, is pretty incredible. And you're only going to get that with our program. Our construction management group in the college is very vibrant. I'm very fortunate to have 2 full professors in the online curricula, Professors Bill Hutzel and John Sheffield, who teach courses in facilities engineering and energy. Professor Hutzel and his students participate in the solar decathlon, and every year about 35 universities from around the world show up on the mall in DC and erect a home within 3 days. That's zero net gain for energy consumption, and Bill and his students have come out 1 and 2 worldwide. And you're going to get to learn from this man. He's incredible. John Sheffield in the construction area, he's our go-to guy when it comes to alternative energies, be it solar or wind or microgrid solutions. His expertise and research is in hydrogen, and he spends probably 50% of his time traveling the world working with large manufacturing organizations. Engineering technology, we're a mechanical electrical group in the area of mechatronics and automation and robotics. We do have a technology education program where we have graduate students enrolled in that want to take on leadership positions within higher education and public schools. And we do have a program in technology management that's within the college, working with folks that are really focused on the human resources side of the organization. So we're viable, we continue to grow. Our enrollment in our college and in my own academic school of engineering technology continues to uptick every year. And when you look at universities across the country, many state schools are either flatlined or going down, but we continue to increase. We had over 26,000 applications at Purdue this year for students wanting to begin their education in August, and only about 5,800 get admitted. So that tells you, the perceived value and quality of our education that is a brand image that's worldwide, as Amanda already mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. And can you share with us, specifically for our graduates from the engineering technology program, what they should expect?
I was having this conversation last Wednesday with about 25 master's and PhD students in our programs, and I just was briefed earlier in the day from our development folks about our graduate students in particular. And what's important to note, and I think of the diversity of Purdue University, I think of the diversity of our own program, you know, or I can even make it more myopic. My own classwork in graduate education and engineering technology. You know, this semester I have 9 different cultures, and when you remove the American culture and look at the other 8, these other 8 cultures have choices. They could go any other place in the world, literally. Why do they choose Purdue? And I reflected back on a briefing that I had earlier in that Wednesday of last week from our development folks, looking at the occupations and responsibilities and companies and government organizations our graduates are working in. And 82% of our alumni are working for Fortune 1000 global corporation. And that's significant. And so if you want to move ahead in the workplace, you want to have a credible degree, a brand image, and a network of alums that are across this globe in major corporations and in government institutes. This is the program to be in. We take tremendous pride in networking our students, no matter if they're beginning or they're ending their academic career at Purdue, to be involved and stay connected. Because the networks that you and I form, both personally and professionally, are very powerful in solving today's problems. And we want you to be part of that Purdue family. I list a few companies up there on the slide, but that's just a drop in the 5-gallon bucket. There are hundreds of Fortune 1000 companies that we have alumni in, and you can be part of that. And some of you may be thinking about this degree as a game changer to change careers, and that's frankly wonderful. Every group of graduate students that get admitted into our program, I usually have a couple students that are looking to change the nature of their work, that they want to go into a different industry, a different company, and having this degree and these experiences will launch you in another direction that you'd like to achieve professionally. And then I have students that are already in any of the engineering technologies that are looking to advance and have more responsibility, of course, you know, garner a larger salary, but paint on a bigger canvas. And this is the program to be in. And we are very excited about the curricula that's offered. I think back to my own days when I was a part-time master's degree student going to LSU. Gosh, what I had available to take comparison today is just night and day. It's significantly different, and I'm excited because the faculty in this program are doing it because they want to. They're not doing it because it's, you know, promotion or tenure. They're committed, and that's the program you want to be involved in. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap, for sharing that with us. And coming up here on our next few slides, I want us to kind of start talking more about the curriculum. So based off of what you just mentioned, can you go over how this program will help launch our students or potential students into that direction with advancement?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Amanda. Thank you. When you look at this slide, and I think of the second bullet when I take that text in, you know, we are 98% of the faculty I work with all have degrees in engineering. The other 2% are social scientists, and they bring reality. It's like when I go to a business meeting and I bring my accountant in the room, it levels the playing field immediately. Dispositions change, attitudes change, because it's reality. At the end of the day, it's the cash flow. And in this degree program, it's very similar, that we're well balanced. not only from technical delivery, but also from the social science. You know, the first course that you'd have the opportunity to get involved in the degree program deals with technology from a global perspective, where you learn to understand the different cultures. My students right now are diving into a briefing where they're going to work with 3 of their colleagues in the workplace, and they're going to go to China for the first time, or Germany, or Mexico. How do you adapt? For, you know, removing the language barrier, for example, and thinking about the culture. How do I behave when I go to a foreign country? So number 1, I don't embarrass myself, or number 2, embarrass the organization in which I represent. So you have that social science, but then you have the technical that many of us are passionate about. You know, I think about, you know, Professor Hutzel and what he does in facilities engineering, or Dr. Cochran and what he does in his statistics class as it relates to moving the business forward. And when I say statistics, sometimes people will cringe. Oh, no, it's math. But David comes to the program in this slide having worked in industry for 14 years and wanting to teach the statistics that you really need to know to make good and better decisions on the data that you have in the workplace, not some formula and plug and chug. We're very sensitive to industry's needs, as the slide says, because without industry, we wouldn't have 80% of the funded research that we have in my group. And number 2, we wouldn't have students like yourselves. So the bottom line is we are sustainable. We do listen. We do pay attention to the marketplace. Every faculty member that you'll come in contact with in this degree program is very in tune with industry needs, because they are being funded by industry, not the federal government, by industry. Our global reputation is paramount. Anywhere in Asia I've been, they may not know who Duane Dunlap is, but no matter where I go in the world, if I say I'm from Purdue University, I'm always welcomed. There's no denial. The last bullet down there is really powerful, and I'll put it into context a little bit here. What differentiates our program in a different direction that other graduate programs of similar nature may have is the capstone project, where we let the graduate student in this program from the beginning start to think about not only his or her gifts that they have, but what are they passionate about at work? What would they like to take a deeper dive and get better at? And we capstone this project by letting the graduate student pick a project. It may be part of their given responsibility at work, or it might be out of their scope of work that they'd like to learn something about. To propose a project, put some metrics behind it so we can measure an impact, and then work on a deliverable that can serve not only for a requirement academically, but more importantly, have impact in the workplace that can shed positive light on a student enrolled in our program. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. And going off of that, obviously looking at what you will learn from our program, here's a list of our courses. So I know you just were discussing the capstone, but if you can touch on a few of our other courses and some expectations for our students.
We have a variety of mechanical, electrical, and the ENGT, the engineering technology. Those are holistic umbrella type of courses. I teach the 527, which we spend time not only how do we deal with business diversity in cultures around the world with the major players that American-based companies deal with, but for example, this week we're talking about patent law. We're talking about how do you file provisional? What is prior art in a patent? And many of my students working for a company are involved with the patent process to move their organization forward. And so we talk about that. And one of the neat things about being a Purdue student is you can file a provisional and a patent at being a Purdue graduate student free of charge. If you and I went out and did that on our own, the first payment would be about $10,000 on the provisional. But as a Purdue student, you get that. Scott Hutchinson, Agile Strategy, check that out. you're going to have the opportunity to learn from a colleague of mine that is world hot, literally. He is so busy traveling the world. He just came home from The Hague on teaching a problem-solving strategy called Agile Strategy. There's nothing else like it. The only course that he's teaching in his professional career right now is this class online to students like you. I mean, that speaks volumes to me, and he has choices. Smart manufacturing, how do I deal with all the data in the cloud? Dear colleague of mine, Sarah Leach, Sharp, is passionate about smart manufacturing, how to make sense out of data in the cloud to better control our manufacturing processes. And of course, we cannot forget about global supply chain management. I mean, for Amazon, the logistics of materials and products to customers is everything, make or break. That's where they make their money. And Sarah takes a deep dive there. I mentioned my colleague, Professor Hutzel, in this facilities course that he's doing. The students are having a great time. Bill's got about, 40 different videos and 10 different corporations that are about 3.5 to 5 minutes long. Dynamite stuff. Energy sustainability. That's my colleague, John Sheffield, world-renowned, was a former full professor at Mizzou in the aeronautical and engineering program there. Now he's at Purdue doing really neat things, and just a jolly professional to be around and learn from. Now we begin this technology literature review. If you look at this is part of the capstone. There are 3 1-credit hour courses, and I will work with you in determining your passion and what you'd like to work on and take a deep dive. One of the neat things about Purdue University, and in this degree program in particular, is we have our own librarian assigned to you as a student in this program, and her name is Sarah Huber. And Sarah is incredible. She's not an engineer. She has a PhD in library science, but she adds so much value to our students and to me as a faculty member, because I can call her up, send her an email and say, Sarah, I'm working on a project in non-destructive testing, and I'm looking at these kinds of metals. I need to know what databases have the hottest data. And gosh, within 24 hours, I've got a phone call and or an email back telling me what databases to go look at and what search terms would get me the best hits. We don't use Google in graduate school. Information in Google in today's marketplace is old. As a student at Purdue, a graduate student, you have access to over 400 databases that the general public can't get to, because these databases charge significant costs for their subscriptions. We spend tens of millions of dollars in library subscriptions to databases that the general public just can't afford. But again, being at a land-grant institution like Purdue and in the engineering technology program, not only do you have access to those databases, but you have Sarah to email or phone call to help you on any particular topic or problem that you may be challenged with in any of your academic courses. And that's pretty incredible. The statistics course, David Cochran, my colleague, Dr. Cochran, is a systems engineer. He's an industrial engineer, but he gets it because he worked in industry for 14 years. And so don't cringe when you see the word statistics. He understands what we need to do to improve a process. And he's not going to make you use some archaic mainframe software tool. He's going to use Excel and show you how to really exploit Excel in ways you maybe not even thought about before, because it's so common. Greg Hilbert already mentioned that the Chief Security Officer at Purdue University will be teaching the cybersecurity course, which is, he's going to be teaching it for the first time this summer, and I'm going to sit in just to be briefed by one of the best in the country. The proposal, that's the second 1 hour of that capstone. So you've done your review of literature, you've taken a dive on your topic. Now we're going to make a proposal like we would write to our supervisor or to a vice president to get funding and move forward to do that. And then we're going to get into Six Sigma. The instructor for that course, Dr. Chad Laux, is a former student of mine, Six Sigma, worked at Caterpillar for quite a few years. Hilarious, fun, energetic professor that, again, has 10 years of industry experience. And some of you may achieve a green belt status, or you already have black belt. No matter where you are in the quality control process, or understanding quality control and its metrics and importance on improving the business process. And I say process because it could be IT related, it could be production related, or it could be HR related, for example. The neat thing about Chad is he's going to take you from wherever you are and help you better understand the processes that you're involved in. Applied optimization, Dr. Mark French. Mark, again, another full professor. Here's his email address, guitar@purdue.edu. It's not French or mfrench at Purdue. Dr. French is an aeronautical engineer. He's appeared on the Jimmy Fallon show. He has a ping pong gun that shoots a ping pong ball more than 2 times the speed of sound. Mark's passion is music and in guitars, and he has a laboratory sponsored by the National Science Foundation where he teaches manufacturing process in very high-end guitar manufacturing. But what he's passionate about is taking a process and optimizing it and making it efficient. Mark gets the highest teaching evaluations of any of us of the 55 in our school. And here we go again. Here's another full professor that could do whatever he wants, choose whatever he wants to do professionally, and he chooses to teach in this online program. Speaks volumes to me. And then lastly, you're going to finish up your deep dive on your capstone project, and you're going to make a final delivery to me, to your supervisor in the workplace or a vice president, and show us the impact, because that's what's important in a research project. We do our history, our review of literature, we measure it, and then we share the impact. So that, in a nutshell, gets you through a master's degree program in 18 months. That's pretty neat. You're definitely not going it alone. Knowing the faculty in this program as I do for quite a few years, there's individual-based work, but there's also team-based work. And you're going to get to meet and work with everybody within your cohort group and those that are ahead of you or even behind, for that matter. So again, developing that network is really important. And I could be more excited about this curricula, number one. And I know the reality is that 3 years from now, some of these courses may change because the marketplace changes. But that's how we are sustainable in what we do. But at the end of the day, the faculty that are involved are at the top of their game. And that's a big deal. These are not limited term lectures. These are full professors at Purdue University. And they're excited about working with you. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. Gives us a great idea for expectation within the curriculum and kind of who they'll be learning from especially. So it's very exciting. So on our next topic here, I want to make sure with the number one question that everyone does hand is, okay, how does this work? How am I going to take my classes? So for expectation for our students, this is a 100% online asynchronous program. So as I've mentioned to several of my students I work with, that we focus on deadlines. So definitely deadline driven, but making sure that you're able to work throughout the week. So having your time management. So student feedback, we usually see around 15 to 20 hours a week to focus on your studies. And a few things on this page is what you'll see, some things that Dr. Dunlap already mentioned to with your library resources, even seeing collaboration. So we want to make sure you have everything available at your fingertips, but it's also interactive for you. So you'll see a few, for example, a facilities introduction. So seeing an introduction from faculty themselves. So based off of interaction, and even Dr. Dunlap, you would like to attest to this for expectations or what students have seen through the program. What has their feedback been?
Thank you, Amanda. Well, the feedback is incredible. And I have students in this online program from companies like Boeing Aircraft. I mean, and I'm talking more than one. Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, Caterpillar, John Deere, Cummins Engine, General Motors, Keurig, the coffee people. And these organizations are global. And the feedback that I got after the first semester and during the first semester of their enrollment, these students, having quite a few number of years already in the workplace with the organization, are telling me that the instructional content and the delivery is better than what they have in their own Fortune 1000 company. That speaks volumes to me. That speaks volumes to me, because these are multi-billion-dollar corporations, and you know, things like safety training or human resource related training, material safety, whatever it may be. There's a lot of resources put into that, but when they take their own experiences in a global corporation and match it back to what we do instructionally, and the team that develops the instructional content of our ideas is incredible. You know, I have 50 videos in my course alone. That may quantitatively may seem like a lot, but remember, these videos range anywhere from 2 minutes to 5 minutes, and they're in a variety of global corporations, and that has very strong presence, because you're getting to meet experts besides the faculty that are practicing the content that we're talking about, and it makes it real life, and it's up to date. I mean, these videos are less than a year old, so you're getting content that's current, up to date, and from industry experts, in addition to the faculty members, which is pretty neat. Pretty neat. The library is mentioned up there. I've already talked about Sarah Huber in the library, who's assigned to this degree program to be your resource to help you navigate the library and its resources and to take advantage of it. The format of the courses, the content, obviously varies from course to course, but the structure and the layout is really neat. What I get excited about, and I know my online students are excited about, because I had a phone call today from one of my students over who works at Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, and we're in week 6 of the semester, and right now, and there's a big push on to finish up. But the neat thing is, everybody goes 7 weeks, and then we take a week off, and you know, these breaks in the academic calendar for the next 2 years, so that you can help plan your work and, most importantly, your life around breaks, and know what's coming. So if you want to schedule time off or a vacation, or just time down to veg and regroup, you know when they're happening. So you have a tremendous opportunity. I hope you make the most out of it and join the Boilermaker team.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. Again, that gives students a great idea of their expectation within classes, and like I mentioned, kind of a #1 question for our students that we come in contact with. So beyond that, we come to the question and answer session, or part of our session. So with this, I want to make sure we touch on a few of our kind of frequently asked questions by our students. So with that, Dr. Dunlap, can you go through some of these questions and kind of an explanation for our individuals listening?
Sure, Amanda, I can handle this with your help. Yes.
Okay.
Why is there no?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, that's a great question, Amanda. Where do you come up with these? Yeah, a thesis, you know, in many graduate programs is a terminal, for lack of terms this evening, a terminal output. And I would say 80% of our students that are resident, meaning that they're here on campus in West Lafayette, Indiana, are doing a thesis because they're working with me or another faculty member on sponsored research from industry, and they're writing it up. Their technical report turns into a thesis that they're not only serving an academic requirement of course, but they're also solving a problem that's of significant need and value by the company that's paying for the research. And it goes by pretty quick. Most of our industrial contracts with corporations are usually 6 months. That's the impact. So there's no messing around. But what we've done in this program, because a thesis involves a major professor like myself in a committee of at least 3 or 4, but that just doesn't work online. And so how do we have the same impact for the student? Because this capstone event's about you. It's not about the faculty member or the institution. This is about the impact the student wants to have. So what we've done is we've created this capstone event that you see on the slides and that I've talked about more than once, where we let you pick the topic and take a deep dive. It's structured like a thesis. I mean, you have an introduction, you have a review of literature, you have a methodology on how you're going to measure the problem, the results, and then the last portion is the impact and your summary and recommendations and conclusions. So we don't call it a thesis, we call it a directed project or a capstone report, because many of my adult learners over the years get involved also with processes that have intellectual property. I think most recently of a student that I was working with at Rolls-Royce Corporation, and he was involved with the heat treating of turbine blades. And heat treating of turbine blades is significant intellectual property. It differentiates their product from others, and a competitor would claim the same. Well, that's something you don't really want to disclose or publish. It's intellectual property of the company and of the employee. So when we do a capstone, we can do sensitive things that have intellectual property that has tremendous gain for the company and for the student, but doesn't go into the public domain as a thesis would. So that's why we do a capstone project in comparison to the thesis.
Thank you for going into a little bit more detail, because that also is a main question of, what's that expectation within the capstone, and then what about a thesis? Okay. So even as it relates to the thesis point, I mean, how does the online program differ from the ground campus?
Great question. Differ. Jealousy. My on-ground students are jealous. And I hear about it every Wednesday night from our master's and PhD students. How come we don't have a class in cybersecurity? How come we're not doing this with Dr. Leach in smart manufacturing? The online student, honestly, in our program is getting the cutting edge coursework. In comparison to the on-ground, it's the same degree program, same requirements, but with a different course mix. We're running a little harder on the online program to serve industry and business needs right now. And when I have a corporation that I work with, like Fiat Chrysler Automobiles or Subaru, call me and tell me about their problems and their challenges, I have to think about it right now. It's not something I can put off and plan and work on over the next, 3 months. This is something that's hitting them now. So and I'm not alone. My peer group of faculty are in the same mentality. So our cutting edge research is being reflected in these online courses immediately. Whereas the on-ground program, we have latency. We have more time. It's not to say that our students won't get a course in smart manufacturing or cybersecurity. They will, but it's usually a year or two down the road before it appears in the traditional curricula. So you're frankly getting the best. There's no two ways about it. And I wish we could offer these online courses and their content that we have right now on the ground, but we just can't. Um, in my humble opinion, we have the best faculty in the college, in the School of Engineering Technology, delivering the hottest content that business and industry desperately needs, and that you as a student desperately need to move ahead in the workplace and show an impact, make a difference. And that's what it's all about.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. With our next question, I know you already touched on this, kind of to some extent, with looking at career options or outcomes, what individuals advance into, or just their overall goals. So do you have anything to add with that?
Well, thank you for revisiting this, Amanda. The students that I have in class in the online program, you know, the adult learners, have good work experience. They're working hard. Many of them are dealing with life and raising a family and just trying to get ahead every day. And these students will graduate with this degree from Purdue University and have the opportunity to move up in the organization. And when I say move up, that means more responsibility. That means more personnel issues than you ever thought about you could have. It means that you're going to have to deal with finances in a different perspective than you ever had to deal with before. And you're going to have to deal with impact, potentially customers in a different light than you had before. And the bigger picture is when you get out of the workplace, we're finding our alums coming out of this program dealing with global issues. Moving up to the next level in the position expects and frankly requires you to travel globally and deal with the world, not just your own little marketplace and workplace in your cubicle in your company where you are right now, but to get out and interact with people in India or China or Mexico, Singapore, Germany, wherever it may be, because that is the marketplace. It's not the regional economy where the company you're working at now is located. It's a bigger issue, and that's where our students thrive, and that's where we come through. I mean, the data set that I mentioned earlier that I had from our development office looking at our alumni, that spoke for itself. I mean, just look, over 80% of our students are, you know, in senior leadership positions in a global corporation. So that's a biggie, if that's what you want to do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dunlap. And going off of obviously looking at the marketplace, the global aspect, do you have any thoughts on the industry outlook for the next 5 years?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was in a meeting today, Amanda. Gosh, you know, this cloud computing and the security around data. Two of my colleagues who are involved not only in autonomous vehicles, but heavily involved in robotics. Robotics in the workplace and robots in the home. I mean, the things that we're seeing in robotics that we prototype in our laboratories in the School of Engineering Technology, and we'll have, there's no question, the students coming, Amanda, into the program now, before they graduate, they'll have the opportunity to be in a robotics course. The software and the artificial intelligence that I'm seeing firsthand in the laboratory with my colleagues of robots interacting with a human in the same workspace or environment. And by that, I mean can be literally, you know, an inch away or 3 feet away, and this robot not interfere on the assembly of an item or the needing of a wiring harness together. It's incredible. Looking at the work that these faculty are doing with looking at insects, and especially the mantis, looking at stereoscopic and 3D vision on how some insects view the world and trying to map this to algorithms. It's coming faster than I ever imagined. Autonomous vehicles and intelligence, that's coming, and that will have an impact, especially on the transportation industry. We've got faculty working with major global supply chain companies with their trucking and their shipping fleets, looking at sharing data between trucks as they approach a region in the U.S. on temperature, weather, and grade, and trying to maximize fuel economy out of the vehicle. The bottom line in all this is that you're a student in a land-grant institution that has some of the best faculty and thinkers in the world, and you can be part of it. And you can take courses and learn some insights from some of these faculties that will give you an edge that you may not be able to get anyplace else in a timely format that makes sense. So for me, 5 years, number one, I see our curricula changing. I mean, some of the base courses, what we call foundations, will be the same, but I see 2 or 3 easily evolving just because of the change in the marketplace and in the world, and frankly in technology.
Yes, and thank you for that. I mean, showing what the industry outlook for several different fields and positions that are out there. And obviously mentioning the land-grant institution, you kind of touch on that next question that goes over the value for this degree. And so even as you mentioned previously, when you are internationally, and when you mention you're from Purdue, you know, everyone definitely acceptable of that school itself. So how do you feel, you know, based off of the value proposition for this degree program, it's viewed for our graduates?
That's a good question. You know, no matter what industry or what business we're in, you know, at the end of the day, at the end of the minute, what's the value proposition? You know, what are we doing? And for us at Purdue and in the School of Engineering Technology, it's impact. And we educate our graduate students such that they can demonstrate impact. I mean, that's why we have more applications coming into Purdue than we can serve or admit, for that matter. It's not that they're bad students. But you've taken the time tonight to dial in, to log in, to find out about a very unique opportunity. And our value proposition is we're going to educate you where you're at this point in time with whatever body of knowledge you come to us. And obviously, if you get admitted to a Purdue University, we're invested. You know, we admit students like yourselves that have ambition, have focus, have drive, and are working to have a very refined self-discipline. Because in online education, and especially graduate education, you got to be able to work independently and problem solve. It's not that we're going to turn you away in your questions. We never will. But you have to be focused, and you have to carve out time in your busy life, and you can do it. We've all done it. I did it, going part-time to finish my master's degree, so that we can teach you how to make an impact. That capstone project, we can show an impact that far succeeds whatever cost the company, the industry, or the business paid for tuition reimbursement. We can easily beat it by 5 times by teaching you how to demonstrate an impact on a given project. And that's a tremendous value add, not only for the student, but for us, because that validates, frankly, what the faculty and I work for every day. You know, how do we give you a competitive edge to demonstrate an impact, to make you competitive in the marketplace, in your own workspace, or in a new workspace that you want to strike out on. So we won't turn back from that. That's, you know, when I have vice presidents of engineering from global companies, Fortune 100, come to me and say, Duane, you know, the students that we've sent you, you've saved us over $5.5 million. I just smile, because that's just validation for what we're doing, that we're teaching the students the right competitive advantages to be good. And because the Purdue brand image, we take it serious. I take it serious, and I don't have a degree from Purdue. And I'm an old new guy at Purdue. You know, I worked at Purdue for 11 years and left, went to a very pretty part of the state of North Carolina, where there's a lot of blue skies in the winter and not gray in Indiana. But I came back. And why did I come back? Infrastructure, resources. Purdue's incredible. I was a full professor. I mean, I was a dean. I was a department head. I could go anywhere. But I chose to come back to Purdue University. And in closure, Amanda, I'm thinking of a mentor that I had when I first came in 1990 to Purdue. His name was Dr. Cease, and I'll never forget. And he told me, he said, Duane, Purdue is a great place to go to, but it's an even greater place to be from. And I'll leave you with that tonight in our presentation, that, you know, no matter where you're from or what your experiences are, you know, Purdue is very welcoming. We're a very diverse community, open-minded thinkers and believers, and we're here to expand your horizons and help you grow wherever that may be in our curriculum. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. And that, I think, gives students a great idea for their expectation within the program and what they can learn from our institution. So in closing, I just want to make sure that we have an idea of what to expect within the application process. So this will be our last topic we will cover. So
Okay.
I want to go over just a few things for students to expect here. Well, first and foremost, our next term is going to be our summer start, which is April 30th. So for expectations, again, the first and foremost thing that students need to have is a phone interview with an admissions counselor or representative like myself, so that we can advise you appropriately based off of the logistics of the program. We then move forward on advising you on the next steps of the process. We go over resumes, we go over guidelines of requesting your official transcript, expectations of letters of recommendation. We also have guidelines for the statement of purpose. And there is the online application with the application fee. So that is the process that we do advise students on. Dr. Dunlap, do you want to mention anything specifically on the letters or the essay?
Thank you, Amanda. Just two quick points as we come up on the top of the hour. Gang, when you ask for letters of recommendation, keep this in mind. I don't care, I shouldn't say I should say we, because there's a committee of my peer group reviewing these applications. Whoever you choose for a letter of recommendation, an insight here, get that person to write how well you can problem solve independently. How well can you take on a task and deliver by yourself? And I don't care who that person is, but can they write to your ability on problem solving independently? And the last thing, Amanda, I would like to focus on is that statement of purpose. The men and women that I get to work with are very astute. They're sharp. When you write that statement of purpose, be passionate. Why do you want to do graduate school? Gosh, it's a big chunk of time out of your life. What do you want to study? What do you want to gain from this program? And make sure, above all else, that it's the best one page of written work you've ever done in your life, that there's no passive wording. You're succinct and to the point, because you're selling yourself to a group of very gifted women and men who are going to make judgment on the metrics, and that's a given, you know, of your transcripts, but they're looking at, okay, how deep a thinker is this person when they look forward 5 years from now in their career? Is this the right fit? And you have that opportunity to do it in that one page. So those are the two things, Amanda, that stick out for me.
Thank you, Dr. Dunlap. I appreciate that, giving some insight into that expectation of the process. So again, this is where we will be concluding our webinar, our session this evening. I appreciate for everyone who's able to attend, and just a reminder that we have recorded this. We will be sending it out tomorrow. If your questions were not answered, we will have an admissions representative be able to reach out to you tomorrow. And if you are looking to apply, you can either reach out to your admissions counselor representative, or you can give us a call, and the telephone number is at the bottom of the screen. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Dunlap, and everyone have a great night.
Thank you, Amanda.
Bye.